Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pain in the Math. Today we'll discuss using variables in algebra. Our lesson objectives include 1. We will define and provide examples of variables. 2. We will define and provide examples of values. 3. We will define expressions and provide examples of their use in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. 4. We will evaluate one-step expressions. Let's begin by discussing some vocabulary. First, what is a variable? A variable is a letter that is used to represent a number. Variables could include x, y, t, b. You could even use the Greek letter alpha. The key is a variable is a letter, or you could think of it as a symbol that is used to represent a number. Next, let's discuss value. What is a value? A value is simply a number that is assigned to a variable or an expression. A value can be any number, 1, 2, it can be a decimal, 3.5, it can be a fraction, like 3/4, or it can be positive or negative, such as -3. Next, let's discuss variable expressions. A variable expression is a combination of numbers, variables, and operations. We're going to go over the 4 most common variable expressions. All right, first, let's talk about multiplication as a variable expression. So some examples of multiplication, you could have 4 touching the x, which would represent 4 times x. You could have 4 dot x, which represents 4 times x. Or you could have 4 parentheses x, which indicates multiplication. Now it's important to note that we no longer use x to indicate multiplication, because if we do x as the multiplication operation, then we could easily confuse it for a variable. And for description, what does it mean if we wrote it out in English? Well, all these all mean 4 times x. Next, let's do division. 2 ways that we can write out division. When you are first studying your arithmetic, you think of division as using this sign for 10 divided by y. We steer away from that in algebra use, although you may see it occasionally, but it is much more useful to use a fractional form of 10 over y to represent 10 divided by y. So the description, we'd write that out as 10 divided by y. For addition is very familiar to most of you. So 3 plus, then we just put in a variable t, for example. And that means simply 3 plus t. I usually find students don't have much trouble with addition and subtraction versions. So for subtraction, let's try 5, and this time we'll use the variable b. And that means 5 minus b. And these are all different operations that use variable expressions. Now let's talk about evaluating an expression. So here's where we get to solving algebraic problems. Evaluating the expression, replacing each variable with a number to determine the overall value of the expression. We have an example here that is using multiplication because we can see that the 4 is touching the x. So what we need to do here is replace our x with 2. So I am going to rewrite my expression for x. And it says evaluate it when x equals 2. So I'm going to replace my x with 2. Since I know it's being multiplied, I'm going to use the multiplication variable expression form. Well, 4 times 2, that's a simple one, and that equals 8. So when we evaluate the expression for x when x equals 2, we have that equals 8. Let's do another example. This one is a division. We see we have a fraction here. Evaluate the expression 8 over t when t equals 4. I like to write out my variable expression. So we have 8 divided by t here. And then I'm going to write it again, but this time I'm going to replace it with t equals 4. So where my t is, I'm just going to put a 4. And that would read as 8 divided by 4. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So when we evaluate the expression 8 over t when t equals 4, we have 2. Next, let's do an addition example. Evaluate the expression y plus 2 when y equals 5. So I'm going to write my expression y plus 2. Then I'm going to rewrite it, replacing my y with my 5. So we have 5 plus 2. Well, 5 plus 2, it's an easy one, equals 7. All right, so when we evaluate the expression y plus 2 when y equals 5, our answer is 7. Example 4. Evaluate the expression 10 minus b when b equals 3. So again, I'm going to write my expression 10 minus b. Then I'm going to rewrite it again, except this time I'm going to replace my b with 3. 10 minus 3 equals 7. And I like to just box my answers. So when we evaluate the expression 10 minus b when b equals 3, we get 7. Now, I'm going to show you some practice problems that you can try on your own. These are examples of practice problems that are on my online store on Teachers Pay Teachers Pain in the Math. Pause the video so you can write these down. If you like a printable form of this, visit my online store and you'll get this and also additional versions. Okay, here's some more examples for you. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and visit my online store. Have a nice day.